Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. And of course, as always, you can hear the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network on many different podcast platforms, including Spreaker.com. We're on live on Spreaker.com. We're also on Stitcher.com. Of course, you have that offer. Go 1 month of Stitcher Premium by putting in the code word boxing into your web browser there. Also on TuneIn, we're on iHeartRadio.com. We're also on Podcast Addict, Spotify, and on Google Podcasts. And we're on YouTube as well. So make sure you can listen to us wherever you are and any podcast platform you have to choose from. Now this week, we have a number of recaps, including a tough title loss for one of our Beltway boxers. We also have a preview of this coming Saturday, November 16th, boxing card at La Fontainebleau in Glen Burnie, Maryland. That'll be on Saturday, December 16th. We will also give you some early December previews. We've got a couple of key bouts coming up in December that we'll talk about. And also, we'll say goodnight and goodbye to a long-standing tradition of boxing here in the Beltway, in Washington, D.C. in particular, that as we are recording this, is having a swan song right now as we record this. Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network, brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain and muscle strain, everything in between, Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief, the official pain relief of the 2020 Daytona 500. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips without dieting, eating real food along the way. You also have great training methods and great jewelry that she sells on her site. So go to Deborah, that's Debra Spears.com. Well, this week we had a really kind of a tough weekend for Beltway boxers, and that was highlighted, of course, by the loss by Upper Marlboro, Maryland super featherweight Lamont Roach Jr. He lost his bid to win his first world title. He dropped the unanimous decision to the WBO super featherweight champion Jamel Simplifier Herring of Cincinnati, Ohio. That was this past Saturday, November 9th, at Uchansi Park in Fresno, California. The bout was shown live on ESPN+. Now, I didn't see the bout. I don't have ESPN+, so I didn't get a chance to see the bout. But I got a lot of reports on the bout, including my good buddy Ron Harris of the Prince George's Sentinel. He was giving me kind of round-by-round updates on the card. We'll be reading one from Jake Donovan of BoxingScene.com as well going into this one. But it sounded like anyway that Lamont Rose Jr. just didn't get going early enough in this bout. He had to really kind of catch Herring early. Herring is a very solid fighter, and he fought a couple times in the Beltway, but also has when he won the title against Masayuki Ito, he fought very, very well in that contest. And in this bout, reports tell me that Herring was very effective with a stiff right jab early in the bout. Didn't allow Roach Jr. to get off on his own punches early on. Roach Jr. tried to pick up the pace in the middle rounds. He was being warned by referee Marcos Rosales for rabbit punches behind the head. Now, Jake Donovan of BoxingScene.com noted that Herring was denied a knockdown in the ninth round. He landed a sweeping right hook, but Roach Jr.'s feet kind of tangled with Herring's at that same moment, and referee Rosales was ruled a slip. Roach nearly claimed a game changer in the championship round, Jake Donovan said. As Herring was sliding backward, he failed to keep the challenger at bay. Now, one of the things I've criticized Lamont Rose Jr. for is that his lack of power a little bit. He only has 5 knockouts going in, I believe. No, 7 knockouts. 7 knockouts going in. However, that power came to the forefront late in the bout. Roach took advantage of Herring sliding backwards. He smothered the defending titles on the inside, landed a looping right hand just behind Herring's ear that left him briefly unsteady, but Herring was able to clinch and make it to the bell. Herring win the bout by scores of 115-113 and 117-111 twice. So Lamont Roach loses for the first time as a pro. He's now 19-1-1, 7 KOs. And again, I don't think this loss hurts him. He was the underdog going in. Herring is a very talented fighter, and I think Roach will bounce back and try to get another title defense. Herring is now 21-2 with 10 KOs. But so again, a good effort by Lamont Rose Jr. Probably didn't get started early enough, and by the time he got really going, it was a little bit too late. So tough loss for Lamont Rose Jr. And we was scheduled to have a number of boxers competing on Saturday, November 9th, but apparently it didn't happen that much. We know Nigel Fennell out of Salisbury, Maryland. He won by unanimous decision, 6-round unanimous decision in Orange County, Virginia. The other boxer that ended up fighting on Saturday, November 9th was Jamal Dyer out of Baltimore, the lightweight, and he lost by third-round TKO to the undefeated silent assassin of New Haven, Connecticut, William Foster III. This took place at the Expo Center in Portland, Maine. Now, Mark Vaz of FightNews.com said that seconds in the first round, Dyer landed a clean left hook to tell me that briefly rocked Foster, but Foster regrouped. He found his range and ended up winning that first round. He took over in the second round using hand speed and combination punching, punched away by a fast, clean left hook. He was able to land at will throughout. There was a warning for a few low blows, and then referee Mike Ryan ended up deducting a point from Foster. That evened the round on the scorecard. Foster was clearly winning the bout, according to Mark Vaz of FightNews.com, winning the second round, but he lost a point because of low blows. But in the third round, Foster came out with a vengeance. He picked Dyer apart, landed to the head and body, eventually finding his way through the defense, hurting Dyer, eventually sending Dyer to the canvas with a barrage of clean punches. And referee Mike Ryan called a halt at about at 2:55 of the third round. Dyer record falls to 9-3, 5 KOs. He fought a number of undefeated boxers as of late and had some tough going against him. Foster remains undefeated at 11-0, 8 KOs. So that's the update. Dorian Bostic was scheduled to compete this weekend, but he did not. So that's the update for this past weekend. A couple tough losses for Beltway boxers. We move on now to this weekend. We have a card coming up this coming Saturday in the Beltway. It'll be in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Shabazz Brothers card will be at La Fontaine Blue, located at 7514 Ritchie Highway in Glen Burnie, Maryland. So we've seen a move away from Michael State Avenue in Glen Burnie, which was the long-standing home for boxing in Glen Burnie. It's now La Fontaine Blue. Once again, an address 7514 Ritchie Highway in Glen Burnie, Maryland. We have most of the card for you, so let's go ahead and go over the card. The main event will be the middleweight bout, scheduled for 6 rounds, as Baltimore's Lorenzo Truck Simpson will compete against Del Vecchio Savage of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Simpson is 5-0, 4 KOs, coming off a second-round TKO over Dwayne Williams. That was on June 22nd at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. Savage is 3-4-1, 3 KOs. He's lost his last 2 bouts, including a 6-round unanimous decision loss to Akil Malcolm Knight. That was on August 29th in New Orleans, Louisiana. But the last victory for Savage did come in the Beltway when he knocked out Francisco Bustos in the 3rd round. That was on June 29th at the Gardens Ice House in Laurel, Maryland. We had a chance to talk to Del Vecchio. We covered that card live here on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. We did talk to Del Vecchio Savage. Nice young man. And he was really focused on continuing his career and doing it in a positive way. But he did lose 2 straight. He'll have a tough one against Lorenzo Simpson coming up. That's our main event. 6-round bout, Lorenzo Truck Simpson battling Francisco Bustos. Baltimore cruiserweight, the silent assassin Moosin Kaysen, he'll be in a 6-round co-feature bout against Montez Brown of Virginia Beach, Virginia. Kaysen is 5-0, 3 KOs. He last fought on that same June 22nd card at Rosecroft Raceway. Scored a first-round stoppage over Nathaniel Copeland, the Juggernaut, when Copeland injured his left arm. He has not been heard from since either, so I'm hoping that he's okay. I do remember that card. I think we called that card on Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. Brown is 8-1, 6 KOs. He looks to rebound from his first pro loss, a first-round knockout at the hands of Mighty Joe Jones on April 20th at Rosecroft Raceway. I actually was the ring announcer for that particular card, and Jones knocked out Brown brutally in that bout. Brown came in undefeated, and Joe Jones knocked him out in the first round. So I do remember that on April 20th. So that's the co-feature, Moosin Kaysen, the silent assassin, 5-0, 3 KOs, taking on Montez Brown out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, and he is 8-1, 6 KOs. Could be interesting there. Now, not only will Kaysen, the younger brother of former undisputed world heavyweight champion Hasim Rahman Sr. be on the card, but Rahman's son, Hasim Gold-Blooded Rahman Jr. will be on the card as well. Rahman Jr. will be in a 4-round bout against a veteran by the name of Lance Gouch. He's out of Hannibal, Missouri. Brockman Jr. is 8-0, 4 KOs, coming off a 4-round unanimous decision over Curtis Head on that same Rose Garden Raceway card on June 22nd. Gouch is 8-11-3 with 4 KOs. He's unbeaten in his last 4 contests, 3 wins and a draw, but he has not fought since April of 2017. He battled Travis Fulton to a 4-round majority draw in Kansas City, Missouri. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. I've seen Brockman Jr. taking on Lance Gouch in a 4-round bout. We had some female action on this card. Baltimore super lightweight, now known as Lady Tyson, Destiny Day Owens. She'll be in a 4-round contest against Daisha Champ Queen Ragland of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Now, interesting about this thing about both these young ladies made their pro debut against the same woman. Destiny Day Owens made a successful pro debut, winning a 4th-round split decision over Michaela Nogue. That was on January 26th at the Waldorf Cultural Center in Waldorf, Maryland. But Ragland, and I saw this bout, she lost her pro debut against that same Michaela Nogue by unanimous decision on June 1st, same location, the Waldorf Cultural Center. I believe I was the ring announcer for that particular card as well. So, interesting, they both fought the same lady, now they'll fight each other. Lady Tyson, Destiny Day Owens, taking on Daisha Champ Queen Ragland. Odenton, Maryland, middleweight Maurice Winslow III, he'll be in a 4-round matchup against that same Dwayne Williams of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Winslow's 2-1, 2 KOs. He looks to bounce back from his first pro loss, which was a 4-round split decision to Clay Collard. That was on July 6th in Toledo, Ohio. Williams has not competed. He's 1-1, 1 KO. He has not competed since his second-round KO loss to Lorenzo Simpson, on June 22nd at Rose Garden Raceway. So Maurice Winslow III battling Dwayne Williams on this card, scheduled for 4 rounds. Also, this card will mark the pro debut of 2 of the highly touted brothers, most highly touted brothers, probably since the Peterson brothers, and they are 2/3 of the Everlaw brothers. Tommy and Brian will make their pro debuts in this card. I guess Wilfredo will not make his pro debut. Tommy Everlaw is waiting for an opponent. He's a featherweight. They're both out of Germantown, Maryland. Welterweight Brian Everlaw will face equally debuting Laquan Jones. He's out of Germantown, Maryland as well. So we'll see what happens there. The 2 Everlaws, along with their brother Wilfredo Everlaw, of course, you've heard their names all throughout for the last couple of years in the Washington Regional Golden Gloves. They've won numerous Washington Regional Golden Gloves titles. They didn't win a national one, but they did well in both the Washington Golden Gloves and the Regional Golden Gloves. I'm really looking forward to seeing them compete in their pro debuts coming up on this card that Saturday, November 16th at LaFontaine Blue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. One other bout on the card, welterweight Chenard Bunch of Trenton, New Jersey. He'll take on Alberto Delgado of Roanoke, Virginia, in a bout scheduled for 4 rounds. Bunch is 3-1, all 3 his win by knockout, but he fought to a 3rd-round no contest against Vincent Floyd on October 25th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Floyd was knocked down twice in the first 2 rounds of that scheduled 6-round bout, but suffered a cut after an accidental headbutt in the 3rd round that stopped the contest. And since they did not complete 3 rounds, it was a no contest. Delgado's 1-8-4, 1 KO. He lost 6-round unanimous decision in his last bout to Greg Jackson on September 21st in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. So that is the card for Saturday, November 16th at LaFontaine Blue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. LaFontaine Blue, once again, located at 7514 Ritchie Highway in Glen Burnie. Look forward to being there. Hope you'll be there as well. And hopefully we'll have a live broadcast of that card. Now, coming up this next month, December, we're taking a little early look at the December schedule because there are some key bouts. In fact, one card has a number of Beltway boxers on it, and another one has a big title bout for one of our Beltway boxers. Saturday, December 6th, is that right? No, Friday, December 6th. Friday, December 6th, there'll be a number of Beltway boxers, 4 of them to be exact, that'll be on a King's Promotions card at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, the main event will be a King's Promotions boxer. He's one of our own, world-ranked welterweight Michael, the Professor Fox, he will take on, and this opponent just got named a couple of days ago. His name is Johnny Ariano. He's out of Conroe, Texas. His record 10-1 with 9 KOs. Michael Fox 21-1, 5 KOs. He's ranked 15th in the world by the WBA. Now, Fox is coming off a very dominating 10-round unanimous decision win over Udi Bernardo on September 14th in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Now, Fox won that bout by a shutout on all 3 judges' scorecards. And this will be the 4th bout for Fox this year. Meanwhile, John Ariano, coming off a 8-round split decision win over Xavier Wilson, that was on March 28th at the Cowboys Dance Hall in San Antonio, Texas. Interesting about this one, and Michael Fox kind of mentioned this on his Facebook page today. John Ariano is actually almost as tall as Michael Fox is. And that's very rare for either Michael or Montez Fox. Michael's 6'4", where Ariano apparently is 6'2". I've never seen him box, but apparently he is 6'2". He's bought a lot of his boxing in Texas, primarily in Houston, San Antonio, Austin. So for him to come to Philadelphia, that's an interesting situation there. So that should be interesting. A 10-round contest between middleweights Michael Professor Fox and John Ariano of Conroe, Texas. That's the main event on this King Promotions card on Friday, December 6th. But a number of Beltway boxers are on this card. The sexy Albanian Yank Plana out of Hagerstown, Maryland. He'll be in an 8-round bout against undefeated Calvin Hot Sauce Henderson of Fayetteville, Arkansas. Plana is 7-1 with 4 KOs. He last fought on October 24th. He scored a first-round knockout over Alex Laura. That was at the Alarm.com card that took place at the Capitol Hilton in Washington, D.C. Plana's second 8-round encounter, the first one he had, resulted in Plana's only loss, a majority decision to Rafael Ibokwe on August 23rd in Houston, Texas. Many people thought that he won that bout, by the way. Plana won that bout, but it was not to be. Now, Plana has been very busy this year. This will be his 7th contest of 2019, so he's been very busy going forward. Henderson is 12-0, 8 KOs. He scored a third-round TKO over Antoine Akins. That was on May 10th at the 2300 Arena, and this will be his third straight trip to the 2300 Arena. So Yank Plana taking on Calvin Henderson, and that'll be an 8-round bout as one of the co-featured bouts on this King Promotions card. The other 8-round co-featured bout will feature another King Promotions product, and that's DC Super Bantamweight Marcus the Dream Crusher Bates. He'll take on veteran Jesus Sargento Martinez of Hollywood, Florida, by way of Colombia. Bates is 10-1-1, 8 KOs. He won his last bout by 8-round unanimous decision over Sal Eduardo Hernandez on August 23rd in Houston, Texas. Bates, by the way, is ranked 14th in the world by the WBA. Martinez is 26-10, 13 KOs. He lost two straight in 4 of his last 5 contests. Martinez was stopped in the 5th round by T.J. Doheny on October 12th, in Chicago, Illinois. So that's an 8-round co-feature bout. Marcus Bates taking on Jesus Martinez. And this card will also mark the return of undefeated Frederick, Maryland super middleweight Davar Jingawar Farhadi. He'll take on a fellow undefeated boxer in Vincent Backus of Okmulgee, Oklahoma. That bout is scheduled for 6 rounds. Now, Farhadi has not fought since August of 2016. He knocked out Christopher Petty in the 3rd round in Crystal City, Virginia. He's 7-0 with 6 wins by knockout and some of the best body work that you will ever see. Farhadi was in his native Kurdistan. He was completing medical school studies during his boxing absence. So he'll be a doctor very soon. I think he's doing his internship, his residence at this point. But he'll be back in the area, and we'll see what happens there. He'll be in Philadelphia. And Farhadi's also a King Promotions product, by the way. And Backus is 4-0-1, 3 KOs. He won a 5-round unanimous decision. 5 rounds, interesting. Over Stephen Crowfield. That was on February 23rd in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So Davar Farhadi is back in boxing. Good to see him back. Nice guy. Very, very nice, humble guy. And he's going to be a doctor as well. So congratulations. That's very tough to do with boxing and competing medical studies. Very nice. So that's the card there for King's Promotions. That's on Friday, December 6th. And we have 4 Beltway boxers on that card. So I'll be interested to see what happens there. Now, I've also heard that Kobe the Soldier Breedy is going to be on the card that will take place on Saturday, December 7th at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Don't know his opponent yet, so we'll see what happens there. Hopefully we'll get a chance to tell you about that next week. The other big news for December, and this is kind of huge, and we've been waiting on this to take place. So it's finally going to happen, and it'll take place on Monday, December 16th in South Africa. And that's when undefeated Bethesda, Maryland super flyweight Alexander the Spartan Marine. He'll face his biggest challenge to date. He'll take on International Boxing Organization super flyweight champion Gideon Buthelezi of Boipatong, Gauteng, South Africa. And that'll be for the IBO super flyweight championship, the world championship. Now, the IBO is not as well known as the WBO and WBA, IBF, WBC, but many people rely on the IBO, and I know Jared Hurd was an IBO champion, just to name a few, just name one. So this is big for Alexander Marine. Now, Marine is 18-0, 11 KOs. He's the reigning IBO Intercontinental Super Flyweight champion and is the mandatory challenger for Buthelezi's title. Buthelezi, by the way, is 22-5 with 5 KOs. Marine is a native of Iasi, Romania. He's ranked 3rd by the IBF and 4th by the WBO, so he's in big company. He successfully defended his IBO Intercontinental title with a 10-round unanimous decision win over Luis Concepcion. That was on May 11th at the Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax, Virginia. That was on the Jared Hurd, Julian Williams card. Marine will have a legendary addition to his corner, because not only will he have longtime trainer Bruce Babashian, cutman James Hogan in his corner, but he'll also have International Boxing Hall of Famer, former world champion, and now a master trainer, James Buddy McGirt, in his corner. That should be interesting. No question about that. Buthelezi is on his second reign as the IBO champion. He's held the belt since December of 2015. This will be the 6th defense of his title. Last time out, Buthelezi made short work of Adrian Jimenez, knocking him out in the first round on July 27th in East London, South Africa. So we don't know when South Africa is going to take place, but we'll be on Monday, December 16th. Alexander Spartan Marine challenges for the IBO Super Flyweight Championship against Gideon Buthelezi of South Africa. And once again, that's Monday, December the 16th. So best wishes to the Spartan, Alexander Marine, a really talented boxer. And I've told people to look out for him. A lot of people don't know who he is. A lot of people have not seen him, but I tell you, he is very talented. And that could be an interesting situation against Buthelezi coming up. Finally, as we record this, tonight is Thursday, November 14th. And tonight in Washington, D.C., a boxing tradition is coming to an end. It's 30 years old, and at times it has been some of the most glorious moments of my life, in all honesty. Other times I've been very disappointed with it. And to tell you the truth, in its present state, I'm kind of glad it's going away. But the memories from this will last a lifetime. It is incredible. We're talking about the Fight Night Fight for Children. Now, tonight is the 30th anniversary of the event, and according to reports, it'll be the last time this event will be held. Now, let me explain how the event goes. Now, the original concept for Fight Night was it was supposed to resemble what was called a smoker. Now, a smoker back in the early days of boxing was simply an event where a lot of folks smoked in the arenas, in the location where the boxing bout was held. It was mostly men only, and very few women would come. It wasn't exclusive to men, but very few women would come. And those that did were, for lack of a better term, eye candy. They were just people that were they were just women that were on a well-to-do men's arms, and they were there basically, as we said, eye candy. And it was great food, a lot of smoking, and again, the beautiful women. And that's what Fight Night was originally intended to be. And it was all of that. I mean, cigar smoke that would permeate at the Washington Hilton Hotel, where it was always held. The Washington Hilton Hotel is one of the biggest ballrooms on the East Coast. And it was, I tell you, sometimes the smoke would just be downright intoxicating, just terrible. I mean, just to smoke, just to get it on your clothes. After you go to that show, you had to wash your tuxedo. It was a black tie event. And you had to wash it because there was so much smoke in there. I remember my partner, the fight doctor, Jerome Spears, went one year. And he couldn't go back because his condition, I think he had sarcoidosis at one time. And he got on that smoke. He just couldn't breathe. It was horrible. So he couldn't attend it. In later years, they did not allow people to smoke inside the ballroom. But in the early days of that event, they let the guys, let the people who attended smoke as long as they wanted to, and that was the big thing there. Now, I accidentally said fans, and they really, most of the time, the folks that attended Fight Night were not fans per se. Some were, but not always. The majority of people that attended Fight Night were, to say they were the well-to-do was an understatement. We had everybody from, I remember General Colin Powell came one year. We had the rich and famous in local politics as well as national and international politics. And then international entertainment would be there every year. It was a huge thing to go to. And again, you never knew who you might see. I mean, I saw millionaires, billionaires, high ranks in politics and journalism and sports. I mean, it was amazing to see. And the models that were there were some of the most beautiful women you ever wanted to see. And they were basically the eye candy. They would serve the food and get the drinks and pose with pictures with the well-to-do people. And some of these women were just absolutely beautiful. No question about it. They were gorgeous. And the food they served, now, unfortunately, being a reporter, I could not eat. That was the sad part. I could not eat there. But Lord, oh Lord, the food, they had the thickest steaks you could possibly see. And it was just amazing, the food these folks would get. And they had really incredible door prizes. Everything was first class on that event. This is before you even get to the boxing. It was just first class event. They had sound auctions, live auctions, and they would auction off so many different and just totally outlandish things sometimes. I mean, I remember one year MC Hammer actually auctioned off a free concert at a person's home. Okay, so it was amazing to see. But for me, it was all about the boxing, and not just the boxing in the ring. One of the great traditions of Fight Night were the legends that would attend. I mean, the legends of pro boxing that would attend that event on a yearly basis. Now, my first time going to Fight Night was in 1995, and I was still doing my TV show Boxing Spotlight. And the legends that were there, I was just in total heaven. I mean, they were all the boxers that my father used to talk about when he liked boxing. He soured on boxing probably shortly after Sugar Ray Leonard. He kind of soured on boxing, but at one time he was a huge boxing fan. That's how I got into boxing. He would show films of old boxers. The first film he showed was Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. That's the bout that really got me into boxing. But anyway, be as it may. The legends that came that year, 1995, started off with the greatest. Muhammad Ali was there. And he was signing books that were written by his longtime photographer, Howard Bingham, I think his name was. And, he was signing autographs for that, signing those books. He didn't do a lot of interviews, but he did that. But also that year, mind you, Joe Frazier, Archie Moore, Jake LaMotta, Carmen Basilio, Kid Gavilan, Sandy Sadler, Willie Pep, Floyd Patterson, Ingemar Johansson. I got a chance that year to interview many of those legends. And it was the most unbelievable moment I'd ever spent in my life. I mean, rubbing shoulders with Carmen Basilia. Carmen Basilia and I, for those who don't know, Carmen Basilia is a legendary middleweight champion. Actually, he's the one who really was the focal point behind the International Boxing Hall of Fame. He was from that area near Canastone, New York. And he and I did an interview arm in arm. I mean, he put his arm around me. I put my arm around him. We just did a great interview arm in arm. It was a tremendous moment. It really was. Talking to Archie Moore and his two daughters. Fantastic. Floyd Patterson talked about how he had been knocked down the most as a heavyweight champion. And he said, well, but he never was stopped in a bout. He was always knocked down. He always knocked down, but he always found a way to get back up. He says, if I hold the record for going down, getting knocked down, I also hold the record for getting back up. And I said, wow, and he told that to the young people back in the day. Just great. I wanted to talk to Ingemar Johansson, but he was from Sweden, the Tunda Punch, and he did not speak English very well, unfortunately. But it was still a lot of fun just being next to him. Kid Gavilan, now his son, who's known as Kid Gavilan Jr., would translate for Kid Gavilan Sr., but that was a lot of fun interviewing him. Jake LaMotta, I think I've told this story. Jake LaMotta got upset with me because I didn't refer to him as the Raging Bull. That was interesting. But that's all happened this one night, folks. This all happened one night. And then add to that, got to interview Burt Randolph Sugar, the late great writer, who was originally from Washington, D.C. A lot of people don't know that, but he was originally from D.C., went to the University of Maryland, boxed for the University of Maryland as well. And he was there. And I've loved Burt Sugar. And I had known Burt Sugar prior to. I had met him at my very first boxing card world title bout that I ever covered. That was Simon Brown taking on Tyrone Trice at the D.C. Armory. But that was like 3 or 4 years earlier. But talking to him was fantastic. Got to talk to Michael Buffer. And yeah, Michael Buffer was the ring announcer pretty much for every fight night. He was always there. And he would give his time and his effort and do a very good job. So yeah, and in later years, the likes of Aaron Pryor, when a lot of those older legends passed away, guys like Aaron Pryor would be there. Jake LaMotta was there pretty much up until he passed away. He was the last of those legends to pass. Aaron Pryor, Ray Mancini, Sugar Ray Leonard. They had 1 year. They had the reunion, excuse me, of the 1976 Olympic team. So Ray Leonard, Heidi Curtis, the Spinks brothers. I think Howard Davis was still alive, so he was there. So a number of those, Sergeant Charles Mooney, of course, was there. And so, that was a great year. They had a couple of guys from the Contender 1 year. Jimmy Lang, of course. A number of other boxers from the Contender series were there. And it was just a great to see the legends that were there. Fantastic. The music that they had at Fight Night. They weren't top of the line bout performers, but the performers that people remembered. That was the key. So they had people like, I don't know, 1 year James Brown performed there. I think the first year I was there, James Brown performed. They had the Commodores, the last remaining bits of the Commodores. Excuse me. They were true, I think, at that time. Joan Jett was there. She played I Love Rock and Roll. Of course, Joan Jett is a Beltway native. She's out of Rockville, I believe. Grand Funk Railroad came. That was a lot of fun. I was a big fan of Grand Funk Railroad. A group called Sequence was there. That was an interesting situation for me because one of the members it was an all-female band and all-female vocal group. And one of the members of Sequence I went to school with. I went to Howard University with. Her name was April Harris. And it was so weird because I saw her and I was like, wait a minute. I kept looking at her. And I was like, wait a minute, I know her. And that's her, April Harris. So I got a chance to see her after the show. We got back together again. It was very nice. Ted Nugent was there. Ted Nugent played the national anthem 1 year. Kathy Sledge from Sister Sledge was there. And then 1 year, it was MC Hammer and Chubby Checker. And I thought that was so cool. Chubby Checker sang with the Washington Redskins cheerleaders, who made a yearly appearance there, by the way. And I'll get to them in a second. But MC Hammer did a lot of his group. What was interesting about MC Hammer was MC Hammer performed with a group of people who were about his age. So he didn't look he wasn't performing with a lot of young people. He was performing with a lot of people around his age. And they performed very, very well. So that was very nice to see. So it was like incredible. The music that was there. And of course, they had a house band there that was pretty good as well. And getting back to the Washington Redskins cheerleaders, well, they were interesting. Let's put it that way. They would perform routines that they would not do at FedEx Field. Let me just put it that way. They were a little bit on the R-rated side. But again, you had mostly men in the audience. So they expected that. That was all. It was not your liberation festivities. It was not one of those festivities where women were not looked at as objects. In essence, that's what they were. And then you would get to the boxing. And the boxing overall was very good. J.D. Brown and Ollie Dunlap would do most of the matchmaking for that. In fact, early years, the show was on what used to be Home Team Sports. And Larry Michael and J.D. Brown would do the commentary for the show. Excuse me. But one of the best bouts I ever saw at Fight Night took place on that show in 1995. And that's when Daryl Tyson, out of Washington, D.C., fought Anthony Suggs of Alexandria, Virginia. Both men now in the D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame. And it was a tremendous bout. 10-round bout. I believe a USBA title was on the line. And it was a tremendous contest. No question about that. And what was interesting about the show was, again, I told you about the cigar smoke that was permeating there. Well, that particular year, it was heavy. And that year, it had a thick layer that you could visibly see over the ring. And by the time that bout ended, Daryl Tyson had passed out after the bout was over because the smoke was so thick. It was ugly. It really was. But that was the main bout, definitely. Zab Judah fought there. I know DeMarcus Chop Corley. A number of Beltway boxers fought there over the years, early on. But, so for the first few years, I used to go literally every year. And then I stopped going. And there was a number of reasons why I stopped going. Number one, first reason was they got rid of the PR firm that was handling that event for many years. My friends over at Brockman Freed, I got a chance through Boxing Spotlight, got a chance to be very much involved with Brockman Freed. Number one, they did PR for a group of boxers I've talked about many times called the Hardcore. Daryl Coley, Reggie Green, the late Reuben Bell, and the late Gary Rock Payne. And they used to do PR for them. So I got a chance to know them through them, especially Fred Sternberg, Brian Bishop, of course, Charlie Brockman himself, the legend himself. And they later did PR for Jimmy Lang, but they also did PR, press release and public relations for Fight Night. And, we used to get carte blanche through them because they knew us so well. They knew us on Boxing Spotlight, knew what we did, and they gave us carte blanche, pretty much. We could interview anybody we wanted to interview. We couldn't film the bouts, of course, but we could interview anybody we wanted to and enjoy the event. And it was great. It was a lot of fun. Well, early 2000s, they were taking off the event. I don't know why. It was very frustrating. And that signaled a change in Fight Night because one of the other unfortunate situations was they stopped bringing a lot of Beltway boxers to the card. So you didn't see as many Beltway boxers. You saw a lot of people from out of town. It was really frustrating. It really was. So that was another thing. Third thing, Joe Robert, who was the chair of Fight for Children, he passed away. And during that time, the the group from Under Armour took over the card. And the night changed because they didn't have a lot of pro boxing. They had some amateur boxing. They had some Muay Thai and UFC stuff. And it just wasn't as good as it used to be. That was another reason. And then the fourth reason was at some point they stopped allowing the reporters to actually watch the fights, which I thought was very weird too. With Fight Night, we're not there to watch the, although we enjoyed the festivities that took place, we weren't there to watch the festivities, we were there to watch the boxing. So that was tough. And then the fifth and final reason why I stopped going to Fight Night, I was very frustrated as our boxers from the 90s got older and they retired from the sport, they would not be chosen to attend this event. They had the same legends every year. Ray Mancini, Ernie Shavers, Aaron Pryor until he passed away. They just had the same people. Jerry Cooney, who I love Jerry Cooney. Don't get me wrong, I love him a lot. But again, the one legend that I definitely thought should have been there that never was the International Boxing Hall of Fame and 3-time world champion Mark Too Sharp Johnson. They never could get him over there, and I don't know why. From D.C., the youngest member of the International Boxing Hall of Fame, it was frustrating that he was not there. So for all those reasons, I stopped going to Fight Night about 5 years ago, and of course I'm not there this evening for a lot of those reasons. But I will always have fond memories of the event because, again, it really helped me as a boxing reporter. It helped me as a boxing fan. Helped me to understand the history that took place. And again, they had some great bouts there. No question about that. Tonight, I think it's Sonny Fredrickson taking on Samuel Tia for the USBA, I think it's middleweight title. That's the only boxing bout, I believe, that's on that card tonight. So, again, farewell to a wonderful tradition. A tradition that brought back a lot of memories, and I've enjoyed it, but it had run its course, and it was time for it to be done. So, in a way, I'm kind of glad it's done. So, that's the end of Fight Night, Fight for Children, and raised a lot of money for children's charities in the Washington, D.C. area. That it did do. That could be the most positive part of Fight Night of them all. Well, that'll do it for another edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes. Remember, the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network brings you Beltway Boxing News and Notes, and it's brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube. Excuse me, my voice is going a little bit. Of Real Time Pain Relief, the official pain relief of the 2020 Daytona 500. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. Great weight loss tips, great jewelry, and great training methods at Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Don't forget to visit the Amazon page on boxonthebeltway.blogspot.com. You can always find me at Twitter at Digital25, and always email me at beltwayboxing@hotmail.com. We hope to see you live at LaFontaine Blue in Glen Burnie, Maryland on Saturday, November 16th. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Gary Digital Williams saying so long for now, and always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.
Oh, beautiful right hand by Daryl Coley.